Good evening, legends. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Matt, where I speak to all sorts of people in the obstacle racing and sporting arena. And I'm really pumped tonight to be talking to Andy Falconer, who you might have seen on course once or twice. Born with one arm and no feet. He's had more reasons than most to sit on the sidelines of sporting events. And when someone told Andy that he wouldn't be able to do Spartan, he proved them wrong by ripping up courses all over the country, and I've been lucky enough to stand side by side with Andy during more than one hurricane heat over the years. He's a 12-time national champion in para, road, cycling and track, and has represented Australia in cycling and athletics. Now, Andy believes that there is no such word as can't. He's also currently the second strongest adaptive athlete in the world, ranked by Static Monster. So join me tonight while I have a chat to Andy, hear about all his story and find what makes Andy drive to perform at the level that he does. So here he is. Andy, how are you, mate?
Very well, thanks, mate. How you doing?
Really well. Really well, buddy. The year started off well. How was your, what'd you get up to over Christmas and New Year's?
Not a great deal. Pretty much just stayed at home I'm in Wodonga, which is just on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. So didn't do much travelling at all. Just stayed at home. Just spent time with, Nara, my partner, and her family. And yeah, it was good.
Nice, mate. Nice. And we've got a couple of people jumping on live. So guys, just let me know if you are watching live. Give me a hashtag live, like Maddie's done, like Dominica's done as well. We've got a couple of people jumping on, so let us know if you are watching. Don't be a creeper. And if you do have any questions for Andy along the course of the chat, let me know what they are, and I'll be sure to ask them. So you're down on the border there. So you've probably had a bit of fun in the last 12 months, right
Oh,
on
loads
the
of fun.
Victorian border.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like, we were still under the same restrictions as Melbourne. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. Hopefully we're through the worst of it, mate. There's a couple of little hot spots popping up, but hopefully the worst of that's behind us. Dan's here as well, Dan Andrikis and Ilka from AFOS, who I believe you do a bit of stuff with, Andy, and we'll speak about shortly.
Yep.
Scotty's saying kia ora from New Zealand. Corey's here as well. Everyone's saying hello. So I guess we'll get straight into that. You're doing a bit with AFOS now, the federation on the adaptive side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I was approached by Dan and Ilka if I wanted to be interested in joining the para committee as a chairperson for para committee in AFOS, which as you said was the Australian Federation of Obstacle Sport. And yeah, look, I was just super keen to be involved with anything para, as you know, and as you said in the intro. I've done plenty of Spartans, plenty of Hurricanes, but they've always been in the open category. And to get para sport in anything is pretty awesome and pretty exciting. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what obstacle course races and sport in general can do for the paras.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And you were born with one arm, and a lot of people who might have seen you on course don't realise, but you weren't born with feet either. So you've got prosthetic feet as well. So tell us about that, mate. Tell us about what what you're working with, I guess.
Yep. No worries. So I was born at a young age, and when I was born with one left arm, and my right arm stops just underneath the elbow. So I've got a little bit of an elbow joint happening there. But my feet, I actually don't have any feet, basically past my ankle. So no, like where your arch starts on your foot, my foot generally stops. So I've got no forefoot, what they call tarsals or metatarsals, if you want to get all medical. So I basically just run, if you can call it. That's what I do. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I'm just on my heels, basically. So I was born like that and was brought up in a just your typical Australian household. Mum and dad were both Scottish. So there was no excuses. I've got two brothers and one sister. We were all actively involved in sport up the Central Coast of New South Wales. Pretty much mum just told me to get out there, and they didn't treat me any different. So that's how I just grew up. I just learned to do stuff.
Nice.
And yeah.
Nice, mate. And did you say Central Coast of New South Wales? So you weren't always
Yeah.
from Wodonga?
No. Grew up, used to be a small country town. Now it's quite, popular in Budgewoi up the New South Wales Central Coast.
Budgewoi.
Just down, 45 minutes south of Newcastle. So coastal and country in the same bucket. So it was really good.
Yeah, nice. And you said you grew up playing sports. What type of stuff did you what type did you get involved in?
Yeah, so tried my hand at football or soccer. That's my Scottish heritage coming out in me. Was no real good at that. Didn't really enjoy that. That wasn't much fun. My brothers and sisters did that. But then I got involved with Nippers, which is with the Surf Life Saving Club.
Surf Life Saving.
So that was really good. That's where I learned to swim, because I just couldn't swim real good. Round pools are my favourite because it allows me to go around in a circle. Straight pools not so good. I keep hitting the wall. But all in all, I did the Nippers, and then I got involved with Little A's, Little Athletics.
Nice.
That actually, I went from Little A's to representing school in cross country and athletics, and then eventually started doing athletics with the New South Wales MGT Sporting Association back in the day. Qualified for the FESBIC Games in when was that? 1980. Showing my age now. 87. And that was the FESBIC Games, which stood for Far East South Pacific International Competition, held in Japan, where I went and did the 100, 200 shot put and discus. So, that was a great experience for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, wow. That is showing your age. I didn't realise. You look younger than that, to be honest, mate. I was born in 1988, if that makes you feel any better.
Thanks. That's awesome.
Mate, you're looking pretty well. If you're over in Japan that early, so you're in athletics from a very early age. And obviously we're pretty good at some of the disciplines. What were the sports you mentioned? Discus, shot puts, obviously the throwing stuff. Was there anything else that you specialised in?
Yeah, I really like doing the 100 metres, 200 metres. Never was much of a distance runner, and I like doing triple jump. But when I was over in Japan, I had a training session which was in the wet weather, and I actually sprained my ankle really bad, like literally nearly torn medial and lateral ligaments in my left ankle. So I competed over there on painkillers, legal ones, of course, back in the day, and physio and all that. Physio and all that sort of stuff. But that was pretty much the end of my athletics career. That was my left ankle, became very prone to go onto my right ankle, which I eventually sprained and tore as well. Doctors basically said, mate, you better give up athletics, otherwise, you could be in some serious trouble. So, stopped doing athletics and bought myself a push bike, and just used to ride around heaps, go for rides with my oldest brother David. We'd ride to, from Budgewoi to Catherine Hill Bay or to down Mooney Bridge. That was exciting, 104 kilometres an hour on a push bike.
That's a decent hill.
It was a very decent hill. Then just kind of stuffed around with life and, went to uni and didn't do much there and worked, etc., and then got into cycling later on in my career. And the reason why I got into cycling was my little Blake Jack was born, and I realised that I was finding it tough to keep up with him. At that time, You're not going to believe me, but I weighed in 130 kilos, and I struggled to ride a bike a kilometre. So I had a good mate. This is when we were in Wagga. He went riding with me, and I just started riding. And then I saw the Paralympics with cycling, and I went, that would be really cool. I wonder if I could do that. So then got in touch with the Cycling Australia representatives, gentleman by Tom Scalander, and he basically told me to lose about 40 or 50 kilos and get back to him. So for the next year, I pretty much just rode, changed my diet, lost a bucket load of weight, and went to nationals, which was up in Wollumbar and Moorball, so right up on the New South Wales, Queensland coast. Raced there, and then I decided at that present state of time I was not a road cyclist. Me and hills we're not friends. So Tom Scalander, the coach there, was saying, oh, have you ever thought about doing track cycling? Track cycling is on the velodrome. It's a fixed gear bike, no brakes, can't stop pedaling, and the banks are generally anywhere between 42 and 47% in steepness. And I looked at him and I said, mate, you got rocks in your head. That ain't happening. And yeah, then he eventually got me on the boards, as we call them. And loved it. Favourite sport, track cycling, riding around velodromes, 50, 60, 70 kilometres an hour, no brakes, couple of millimetres in between each riders. It's awesome. It's good fun.
Yeah, wow. Wow. I've seen those guys doing that, and it looks crazy. And I think you've just sold me on it. I think I'll have to give it a go. So what was the timeline when you sort of got into the cycling side of things?
Oh, pretty late.
How long
yeah. Pretty late in life. I'm probably saying, started cycling 32. So pretty old as a cycling career goes.
Get started, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But I've always had big, chunky, muscly legs. So that kind of helped in the discipline that I like doing, which was track sprinting. So generally didn't ride any further than a kilometre.
So that good sort of anaerobic energy system, pretty well fine-tuned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not so much with the aerobic side of things.
No, that's right. I remember Sean Eady once said you can breathe at the end of the race, because it only goes for you're only racing for a minute 15, a minute 16 to cover a kilometre. So nice, short, sweet. And then one year my coach Tom wanted me to do the pursuit, which is a 3 kilometre time trial, and I'm like, nah, that's about 2 k's too far. But he actually put me in it. I did it. I did not like it, but then did that, and then we went to road nationals in Rushworth, in the gold mining area of Victoria, and I did a road race, and just kept in the pack, did my own thing. And Tom Scalander and Brad McGee had told me that if I'm still, in the bunch at the end, 200 metres to go, put it in the biggest gear and pedal like you're on the track. And that's what I did. And that was my first of 12 national titles. So, I could no longer hide behind being a track cyclist. I was now a roadie. That was pretty much how I did it. And then with cycling, I did that for about 10 years, 11 years at the elite level. Just got bored with it, if that makes sense. 700, 800, 900 kilometres a week on the bike. And I just wasn't enjoying it. Like, it became a chore. And that's a telltale sign that, if you're not enjoying it, don't do it.
100%.
I pretty much retired. The cards were basically stacked against me, because I actually had a was 3 weeks out from national championships for road, and I actually had a mild heart attack.
Oh, wow.
So that put me in hospital. But I was still keen and very excited to go to road nationals. But my cardiologist was not. Neither were my coaches. So,
They don't like heart attacks in sporting.
no.
They're not a fan, cardiologists.
Yeah, that's it. So then, along came Spartan. I went to the local gym down the road here in Wodonga. Matty Frost, who's done a couple of Spartans
Name sounds
himself.
familiar. I think I've seen him on socials somewhere.
Yep. Very similar like you, actually, Matt. Not a hair out of place, but yeah. So
doesn't wear pants often.
No, he generally wears clothes. So yeah, I started going to the gym, and they were training for Spartan and all that sort of stuff. And someone else who was there was going, "Oh, you probably couldn't do Spartan, mate. You got one arm." So I went, you know what? I'm going to try this Spartan thing. And the first one I did was Bright, and it was a 5K, and nearly killed me. I don't know how many burpees I did that day. I think I failed nearly every obstacle. So that's a lot of burpees in one day. And yeah, just got involved with Spartan. Finally, what was it, at the start of last year, finally did my first beast. So I've done sprint, super, beast. And as you stated earlier, hurricane heats, love them. Can't get enough of them. Just volunteering as well. Whether you've been a marshal or an official, which I think is really important. And hopefully the listeners out there, we'll take this on board. It's good to go there and race, but I actually get more enjoyment from giving back. So for me, I love pushing myself and challenging myself. But once I'd done the super sprint and all that sort of stuff, I was like, well, I want to give back to the sport. It's given me so much back. So that's volunteering, being marshals. You probably see me on the multi-rig. I'm probably the nasty bloke who says, nah, sorry, burpees. and you guys call me all wonderful and weird names. But to me, giving back is just as important as racing. And look, to be honest, without the volunteers and without the marshals, we don't race.
There's no sport.
Yeah.
I actually think, and I'm not sure if it's you, but I'm pretty sure it was you. I think one of my clients did their first race in Picton, might have been Picton, and they came through in my jerseys, and they were doing open for their first race, and they failed, I think, the rings or the monkey bars, and you made them do burpees, and they're like, but I'm in open, and you're like, I'm sure it was you, and you said you're in one of Matt Moore's jerseys, do your burpees, and you made her do her burpees.
Pretty much, yep. Like I said, yeah, it was along those lines. It was like, what would Matt make you do? So yeah, that's all right. But look, if it's an open event, and this is just the way that I look at it, with an open event, you don't have to do burpees. It's not mandatory. But if you're going to do Spartan for what it is and what it's meant for and what it represents, you do it completely. And that's just me. So, and several times I have said to someone, it's been the open, and they're like, oh, I can't do burpees, or I can't do 30 burpees, I want to do 30 squats. And I'll say to them, you give me 5 burpees and you're out of here. Yep. So, it's just for me to get people into the spirit and into the realm of doing burpees. And some people go, I didn't know that I could do 5 burpees. So it's like, well, that's awesome. There you go. That's it. So
give me half a second, mate. I've just had comments ping in, so I just want to bring them on screen.
Yep.
We've got Adrian Mannix here is live. Corey James Ryan says, "Hey Falcon, hope you're doing well." Cara Danielle says live. Brett Nugent's here. Cara said, "So funny, Andy. I was born at a young age." I did catch your dad joke about 5 seconds after you said it. Sean says, hi, Matt and Andy. Alana's here, who I think she's Australian Adaptive OCR as well. I think you'd know Alana Shores.
Yes, I do.
Dora Beckett's here. Scotty's live. Tracy from This Is here saying, hey, Andy. Dominica says, Andy, thank you for volunteering at Spartan. Always see you out on course cheering everyone on. What's the funniest thing you've seen volunteering?
Funniest thing I've seen volunteering, other than Matt Moore and Budgie Smugglers.
Sorry about that. Did you see the Princess Leia? That was worse.
Yeah. Funniest thing I've seen on course. I think it would have to be, and it was awesome, Jay Lord and Tammy Cox at, where were we? I think we were at the stadium, and they got up to the multi-rig and they saw me there and they knew that they weren't going to get away with, like, not doing it. So Jay Lord is on Tammy's shoulders and they're just like swinging through, going through the multi-rig. And I got to tell you, it was the funniest thing I'd seen. But yeah, I mean, there's so many funny things that you see out on course. But that would probably be like one of the funniest things I've seen. Saw like, who was it? Someone was wearing a tutu, going under the barbed wire, and they got their tutu stuck. That was pretty funny. So yeah, too many to mention, mate.
Yeah. We have some good times out on course.
Absolutely.
Kara's saying Andrew always encouraging, but brutal when volunteering. So these girls were chatting and commenting while we were talking a minute or two ago. Always do your burpees. Corey saying, you stuffed me on the Elite National Series 2019, did 25 burpees. You told me they weren't good enough, so I had to restart the count from 0.
I was just helping him out because I knew that 2019, that probably would have been, Mel would have been chief judge back in those days, so she would have pinned him anyway. So
she would have pinged you.
Yep. 100%. So I was just helping him out.
Yeah. If you're right at the front, they would have been checking that camera. Brett.
Absolutely.
Brett Nugent, a PT from up here, says, amazing, Andy. A life full of sport and activity shows a truly adventurous spirit. How much of your mentality when facing a new challenge is, fuck it, let's see what happens? Or is there careful planning involved?
Planning? Planning? Yeah. Yes. I remember rocking up 1 year to do a sprint and I didn't even do any training, never mind planning. Look, obviously there's a lot of time in the gym, doing gym work, trying to make myself stronger, etc., etc. But the way I look at it is what it is. And it's interesting that you brought it up. And I wanted to, the CrossFit gym that I go to now, TMA, down here in Wodonga, with Zach and the crew. One of their sayings or mottos is by Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena. Now, I don't know if you've heard this, but it will kind of answer. Yeah, so it's not the critic,
because it's excellent.
Yeah, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at worst, if he fails, at least fails with daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that was by Roosevelt. And that's like one of the mottos, in our TMA. And that really pretty much puts me down into a nutshell. I always think, I remember 1 year we were doing the Fortress in a hurricane heat. I don't know if you were there, Matty, you might have been. It was the last time I think the Fortress made an appearance in Bright. And we had to climb up the Fortress. And I'm like, I've got one arm. And I remember Bull standing there going, I don't give a shit if you got no arm.
He's probably the only guy who's a little bit crazier than you when he's volunteering.
That's right. And he's like, there's no such word as can't. Try it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But then you can say that I tried it, I can't do it. So, like, that pretty much is the way that I look at it. Of course, there's some obstacles that I can't do. So therefore, straight to the burpees. But if I can give it a go, I'll give it a go. And that's what it's all about. And I think the camaraderie through Spartan and through like CrossFit and through like the community as a whole is really what gets you going. Like I did that beast, 8 hours and 24 minutes it took me. And that was horrible. Lost my hat on the swim component, so I spent 7 hours without a hat, and I looked like a tomato at the end.
Whereabouts did you do the beast?
That was the one in February last year in, I can't remember the place that.
Oberon?
Oberon, yes. Yeah, so, yeah, nice hilly sheep country.
Hilly, a bit spongy. It was a bit crampy too.
Yeah. So, but I had two guys who ended up, we were Tao and Charlie. We were hanging out with the sweep towards the end. But our instructions were, and it was by Mel and I think Richard, was it Richard or it might have been Michelle, race director, was as long as you guys get in before sunset, it's okay. And yeah, we made it. But it's just about going forward, and like you never know what you can do until you do it.
I find you like an extension of that too. You never know what you can't do until you find something that you can't fucking do, right? You just got to keep throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. And
absolutely,
mate. And I'm always seeing you push your limits, and as I said, I've done a couple of hurricane heats with you. I think I was at that hurricane heat with you. With the Fortress, maybe. I know I did a night one with you at Bright. I know we did a 4-hour night one there, and I'm sure I've done another one with you. But I'm always seeing you push, and you sort of get to that edge of what you can do, and then you just fucking sit there right on that edge the whole time, and it's fucking inspiring to watch, man. And like I've said on these chats, I've chatted to pretty much every elite racer in the country. Often I've got more respect for the guy who's out on the beast course for 8 hours than the guy who does it in 2, because the guy out there for 8 hours, he's showing you what he's made of, 100%.
That's it. That's it.
Where do you think that drive comes from? That stubbornness, that defiance when you're told no.
I'd probably say, and you'll probably laugh at this, but I grew up in a Scottish household. So there was no such word as can't or no or not doing it. You just did it. And if you didn't do it, you got a flogging. So
you did something.
I think the drive just comes from myself just pushing myself, because I know I can do more. And by me doing more, I can show others who don't think that they can do it that it can be done. So like I'm not out there doing Spartan, like doing static monster competitions, doing the CrossFit Open in a couple of weeks to go, oh well, look at me, I've got one arm, I've got no feet, I am a legend. I'm doing it to show people what can be done if you put your mind to it. We hear it all the time in our WODs. The body will do what the mind tells it to do. So if you've got a strong mind, you can do anything. Your body will give up when you tell it to give up. The amount of times I've seen people doing hurricanes or whatever, like at Oberon, there was a girl who completed the beast, the last 3 Ks with like a dislocated ankle. Some people will go, well, that was pretty stupid. And it may have been pretty stupid, but I think she had a point to prove to herself, and she wasn't going to let, that injury destroy her dream of doing the beast. So I think in a sense, people take sport, and especially in Australia, people take sports, so it's all about like, oh no, I didn't beat my time, I didn't do this, oh, you know, I didn't beat this person, I want to do this, I want to do that. But all you got to do is just go out and do better than what you did before. Like a big thing that we do in the CrossFit gym now is we don't compete against each other like on the WOD board. It's against yourself. So you always want to improve yourself. You know, obviously for me, that's always been really easy, how I've just always wanted to improve myself, because, you know, if I've got a, you know, a really fit, fast, really toned individual, Matt Moore, competing against me,
Sorry,
like, you
mate.
know.
Just give me 1 sec, Andy. I've just
Yep.
got a like a hacker scammer commenting. If anyone's seeing the messages, obviously don't click about the guy who's going to transfer you 5,000 into your account. I'm just going to try and block him real quick, guys. So sorry, Andy. If you
No.
just want to keep talking, I should be able to.
Yeah, so it's just all about,
This.
it's just about what you can do for yourself. Like, you know, so what if someone does it faster than you or whatever? As long as you're improving, that's all that matters. And you know what? You'll have a bad day. One day you will go out there and do an exercise or a class or a bike ride or a run, and you will suck. Everybody sucks. But it's like what the man in the arena says, you'll fail. But the most important thing is to get back up again and try again. So, like, you know, I've read multiple, you know, inspirational books, whether it's Goggins or Ant Middleton or, you know, guys like that, even local cyclists, Anna Mears and all that. And they all have one thing in common, and it's your mindset. You can be in a really shitty situation, but if your mind's in tune, you know, you will, you'll kill it. I think also someone said once, and I can't remember who it was, might have been when I was doing cycling, but they actually said to win a race in cycling is 70% mental, 30% physical. So if you picture yourself doing it really well and working on it, like you'll succeed, because you're not worried about, like, you know, data, times, etc. You've just got that objective and you're going after it.
Yeah. Did you refine that in a certain way? Like I would say to compete at any elite sport, you know, bet cycling or anything, you know, there's probably 70% mental, because you've got to stay disciplined while you train. You've got to keep your head in the zone. You've got to stay out of your head while you're actually competing and not getting pre-race nerves. Like, was that just sort of tempered over years of competition, or were you always just a good competitor?
I think I've always been competitive. It's just the mongrel in me, um,
That's a Scotsman.
and I think, like, I really thrive, and it's like what you said. If someone says that I can't do something, I'm like, right, game on. You know,
I've
uh,
got a bit of that in me.
yeah,
I've got a
like,
lot of
you
that
know,
in me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the A-frame still eludes me, but that's because I'm
Yeah.
scared of heights and I shoot myself when I get 3/4 of the way up. Um, but once again, that's a mind thing that I've got to work on to go, you know what, this is okay, you can do this. Because I know I can climb up it and I can climb down the other side. You know, that's the easy part, but just getting over the fear, that's the hard part. And, you know, fear will do that, but if you work on your mind, yeah, you'll be able to do anything. So I think, I think I was just brought up with a strong, you know, let's do this, you know, get back on the pony and ride attitude, basically.
Yeah.
And it did help. Like, you know, there was times, everyone has them, like when I was in, like, you know, the talent program or whatever for cycling. You know, there was times I didn't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go for a 3-hour bike ride, you know, in Wagga. in winter when it's raining and foggy and cold and yuck and miserable. But you got to do it because you don't know if you're going to race in those conditions. Obviously, it's not going to be like, nighttime when you're racing. But I think in that, by training in those type of environments and getting your mind used to those environments, and there's a classic saying in the Defence Forces, and that's get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you can do that, which is like your mind, there'll be no obstacle that you can't do. So I just think using that mentality and through cycling and, just growing up, being the underdog, I know, like always being the last person picked on a sports team because he wants a one-arm kid playing cricket. What's he going to do? And all those sort of things. But everyone gets it. Like, I mean, when I went to school, it didn't matter if you had one arm or you had red hair or freckles. Like, you still got nailed because you were different. And everybody's different for a reason, and everyone can showcase their strengths by just coming over adversity and doing what they can do.
Yeah. Good words, man. It's inspiring stuff. And we've got a couple more people here. Mark Borman's live. Ilka's saying, Andrew, tell them about meeting Prince Harry. When did you meet Prince Harry?
Okay, so back in 2018, after I retired from cycling, from the elite level of cycling, my two coaches, Tom Scalander, Brad McGee, gave me like an option because I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? Because I had a void in my life because I was very structured and organised. So I knew exactly what I was doing every day. I knew what I was eating. I knew what I was training. I knew what I was doing, and that was great. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have that. I was like, the alarm would go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just hit snooze. And before you know it, you're running late for work. So I got into commissaring for cycling. So commissaring is the French word for cycling official. And you might have seen him in the Tour de France. He's the guy who hangs out the top of the window, waves the flag for the start of the race. And so we're basically the referees.
Sure.
And so I did, I'm now currently a national level commissaire. So that means I can, like road nationals, I can go and be a commissaire if I get selected for it. So I was a commissaire, and Invictus Games came up, and it was probably about a year beforehand, and Cycling New South Wales said, if anybody's interested in doing commissaring for the Invictus Games, let us know. And I thought, what a great opportunity, like being a paracyclist, I could potentially go there and help or encourage people. So I put my hand up for it, and I got selected for it. And at the Invictus Games, which had people from all around the world competing. So if you don't know out there, the Invictus Games is a sporting championship that Prince Harry started off for the wounded veterans in the UK, and then it's gone to America, Australia. It was meant to be in The Hague this year, but it got postponed, or last year got postponed. It's going to be this year, and then I think 23 it's in Germany. So it's for your wounded veterans. So you've got to be a veteran or currently still in defence, but you've got to have some form of injury. So that could be, you could be in a hand cycle because you can't use your legs anymore. You could have your legs missing, arms missing. You could have PTSD, mental illness, like anything, and you can compete. So anyway, I was in the, my job was to corral the athletes to go up for the time trial. So I'm in the restricted area with all the athletes, learning to speak Polish, which is not very well, so you just point at like the book that you got and try and find them and tell them to go. and yeah, hanging out with the Americans and the Brits and the Australians, and yeah, it really was an awesome experience. So anyway, I was talking to a young lady from Great Britain, and she'd just done the time trial, and the criterium was coming up. So the criterium's a lap race, multiple, like over a period of time, and then you have 2 sprint laps. So she was really concerned and she was getting really nervous. So I was talking to her, and she was getting, you could see the black dog like coming over the top of her, like all her PTSD and mental health, because she's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not fast enough. What happens if I get lapped? Will you pull me out of the race? Will you do this? Will you do that? I'm no good, you know. So I was just talking to her, and I'm like, look, this is the Invictus Games. Sure, there are medals, but you know what? It's all about inclusion and involvement in sport, getting you out there on the bike and showing people what you wounded veterans can do. Okay? And she was slowly coming back around, and like, you know, the black dog was disappearing. And then all of a sudden there's all this hustle and bustle behind me. So I'm facing the girl and I've got the road behind me. So anyway, we're going along, and I'm talking to this girl, trying to, you know, encourage her and give her words of encouragement so that she'd get on a bike and do the criterium. And this guy's bumped into me, and I've turned around, and it was actually Prince Harry's, I don't know, security detail or whatever. And I've turned around, and Prince Harry's right there in front of me. And he stuck his hand out and he went, hello. And I went, hello. Shook his hand, and I turned me back on him and went back to dealing with this athlete.
He probably doesn't get that a lot.
No. Well, maybe not. So anyway, so I'm talking to this athlete, and she's like, oh my God, like she's English. And she's like, I can't believe I stopped you from meeting Prince Harry. And I went, I couldn't give a shit about Prince Harry. Like, I'm here to help you, not to see him. You know, my job is to encourage and promote and do whatever I can so you can have the best experience that you can have. So anyway, about an hour and a half later, I hear on my two-way requesting to come down to the front gate, so it was cordoned off the area. And I come down, and here's this guy in the blue suit, and I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble. I've snubbed Prince Harry. I'm going to be in trouble here. So anyway, I walk up to him. Yep. G'day, mate. Yep. Oh yeah, my name's, I think his name was Derek or something from Scotland Yard. I'm like, okay, righto. And he goes, oh, Prince Harry would just like to thank you for what you did, because it's really important that we help the veterans as much as we can. And Prince Harry's just a guy. And I'm like, yep, no worries. So Prince Harry, you noted what I did, snubbed him. And
you got,
yeah, eventually got for it. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it comes down to like that mentality of like even sport, what you were talking about before. I was there to do a job, and my job was to support and encourage these athletes, not to hang out with Prince Harry, you know, or get a handshake or a photograph with Prince Harry. So you'll generally find that when I do something, whether it's in sport, in life, I'm pretty committed. Like, I'm like, yep, righto, game on, let's do it. And that's just the way that I'm wired.
It's good quality, man. It's good quality, and that's a good story. Corey, when Corey was saying he didn't complain, was happy that you did call him out, which, you know, it's how you're wired, which is good. Mikey's life. Kara saying, good old bull. Jim, you're the best kind of crazy. We're still going through some old comments here, so I'm just going to real quick try and get through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's saying, I'm wondering what was going on. Hopefully you didn't. Hopefully they didn't send you 5,000. Matt Moore will give us all 5,000. You got to drive here and get it, Mike. I think the border just shut. Kara's saying, what's the best inspirational book that you've read, mate?
Best inspirational book. Poor. Just thinking. I would probably say, at the moment, geez, that's a tough one. Good on you, Cara. Love you, but yeah, good question. Most inspirational book. It would probably be a toss-up between, I think, one of Anna Meare's or Chris Hoy's books, which is to track sprinters, and probably closely followed by, I want to say Ant Middleton's Fear Bubble. Now, Ant Middleton is that crazy English guy.
Is it SAS guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
British SAS guy.
Yeah, that's right. And I find it interesting and most inspirational because he's not one of these guys who, had everything go his way. Like, he spent time in jail. He's done, he was a paratrooper, spent time in jail, brought his life back, and, has a pretty successful life. But just thinking about it just then, Mark Donaldson, VC, an Australian soldier, his book was really interesting. He was a bit of a rat bag growing up. Used to sneak into theatres and clubs and all that sort of stuff, and was on the verge of getting arrested and put in jail. So he joined the army, and he still went in there, and he was still cocky, and he was still getting in trouble, and he was still and then one of his recruit instructors turned around and basically said to him, "Mate, you need to pick your game up." And that's when it turned. And the interesting thing that I like about Donaldson's story is that he didn't want the VC. He actually blatantly refused to get the VC, which is the Victoria Cross, the highest
highest accolade you can get in Australia.
Yep. That's right. Or in Britain. And he didn't want it because his understanding was guys in my unit do that sort of stuff every day. I was just lucky that the day that I did it, there was 3 other guys higher ranking than me saw it and put me forward for it. And I think that's really humble of him. And he always said that he didn't, the VC isn't his. He'll wear it because that's what he was awarded. And the only reason why he accepted it was because his unit wanted him to accept it for the sacrifices and the loss that the unit went through. So, and I think that's really important. And that's something that you learn in your hurricane heats. It's all about teamwork. You can have the fittest and strongest and fastest dudes in your team, but they're no good to you unless they work as a team. I remember one instant, it was probably my first hurricane heat. And I did it with Steve Turner, the legend, the man, the myth.
He's a fucking legend.
I've
got to go down and play on his balcony ice bath.
Yes.
One day.
Yes. Well, you better hurry up because he's selling that house, so you might want to buy it.
Ice bath.
So anyway, we're doing this hurricane heat, and I remember might have been Richard and Yosti and some other really psychos that we had as cryptayers, and Tracy. Tracy was a cryptayer as well, cryptayer. Anyway, we had to put people over our shoulders and carry them. And I'm 5'7", and Turner's 6'2". So I whack him over his shoulders, and I've got his arms dragging on the ground, and his feet dragging on the ground, and it lasted about 10 metres. But the funny thing was we had to tape our left hands together with gaffer tape, tape our right hands. And me and Turner kind of giggled. We thought it was pretty funny. I don't have a right hand. Yeah, we can get out of it. Yeah. And then Bull just went, and for all those special people, I've decided to change it. Everybody tape their left hands together. So I tape my left hand. So I'm standing on the right-hand side of Steve with my left hand going across his body and my hands taped. Now, for me, we then had to proceed to get up Mystic Mountain.
Yeah.
So Mystic is pretty tough when you're doing it by yourself. Never mind being strapped to someone at the same time. But once again, it's all mental ability. So we just took small steps. Were we dragging the chain? Maybe, but you know what? We'll get the objective done. So, and that was the main thing. So we got up the top, and then after, I don't know, another hour of crazy stuff that they made us do on hurricanes. I'm not going to tell you everything about hurricanes, because if you haven't lived it, you know, you're on a need-to-know basis. And the only way, and the only way that you'll know, is exactly sign up. And then once you signed up, you know, it's not so much about competing it or getting one of these little bad boys, though these bad boys are pretty cool. You know, it's about the achievement that you've overcome. But I remember we were coming down this hill, coming down Mystic, and you had all the fast guys. They were flying past you. Dust was going up everywhere. And that part of the evolution was one of the Spartan creeds that was, I can't remember if it was I'll never leave a fallen comrade or I'll leave no man behind, but it was one of them. And anyway, all these guys were running down, and they got down to the bottom really quick. Meanwhile, there's like, you know, me and Steve and a couple of others that are still coming down. So Bull just ripped these guys a new one and told them to get back up the top of the hill and come back down as a team, and would be doing it over and over and over again until we got the teamwork sorted out. Got to the point where we got down to the bottom, and we're probably, I don't know, 3Ks, 2Ks from base camp, as we call it, and they wanted us to get there in like 10 minutes. Now, I can barely run at the best of times, never mind running after, you know, Matt said a 4-hour hurricane heat. I'll just let you know now, there is no such thing as a 4-hour hurricane heat.
Yeah.
Minimum 4 hours?
4-ish.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Whenever the crypto are done, we're done.
And that appeased.
Yeah, that's right. And that depends on how well you work as a team. If you're not gelling and getting it and working as a team, it takes longer. And they keep on doing it until you work as a team. Yeah, so I couldn't run anymore, and I was dragging the chain. And Steve and a couple of other guys did the old armchair where they link their hands together, and they literally carried me for the 1 kilometre, stopping every, I don't know, 100 metres or so, changing people and doing it. And that was probably, the Crick Taylor said that was the best part about the whole evening, because we worked as a unit, we worked as a team, and like, you know, if you don't work as a team, you're not going to get it done in a hurricane. So I think, if you want to experience teamwork and you're not fit or fast or anything, and have a good time and have a good laugh and make friends for life, do a hurricane. Guaranteed to, make you happy.
Amazing. I push all my clients towards them. I think they're incredible for what they are, for what they achieve, from a resilience side of things, and just teaching people to be adaptable and face things that they hadn't planned for and find a way to overcome. It creates this, I guess, this mental flexibility that so many people just don't have anymore, because everything's fucking done for you. Like, your phone tells you how to drive places, and you don't have to fucking think anymore.
Fill your bucket up with water and carry it up a hill, and then get told that you're going to take your bucket back down, empty it, and fill it up because it was like 3 millimeters from the top. You spilled water.
I did that one with you. I think was that the one where we were carrying the candles through the river?
Yeah,
It was like fucking shin deep, and you had to have the candle. The bottom of the candle had to be in the water, but the candle had to stay lit. So you were sort of like walking along at like this stoop, like protecting your candle as you were. Oh, it was fucking hell.
With a 15 kg pack on your back.
Yeah, with a pack.
Yeah, good times.
It was hell. When's the next one?
Yeah, that's right.
Mikey's saying it's all mental. I remember it at a 12-hour event in the last lap. I could not get over the very last wall till someone came up and said it's the last wall. My brain engaged, and I went over it. Mind over muscle. Mike also says, Andy, have you ever competed in a hand cycle event or the Oz 10K? No.
Nah.
One thing that I did want to talk about right at the beginning, and then we've sort of gone off on a few tangents, but with having no feet, you're obviously competing in the athletics, back in the late 80s. What
Yep.
sort of, was there prosthetics back then? I imagine they would have been fairly crude if there were any.
No, no prosthetics. Just I think they used to be $10, $10 for a pair of gym boots. We used to call them. Kids these days call them connies and pay ridiculous amounts for them. Same boot, in my opinion. But yeah, I just used to wear the good old gym boots, or they, yeah, the Dunlop K226s, which apparently you can still buy in Kmart. Tragic, I know.
The volleys. They're a good
Yeah,
shoe. They're a good shoe. I skateboard in those. Or something very similar to those.
it's
Um,
it's it's the original Mimless shoe. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
want a Mimless
100%.
shoe, yeah, buy a pair
Yep.
of volleys.
Well, I say I'm in something similar now. I'm in either Vivo barefoots or Morel barefoot shoes or something like that. But they're pretty
Mhm.
similar to volleys.
Yep.
Um, so how do you go with like dorsiflexion? So dorsiflexion being your toe, coming up towards your shin. Is
Yeah.
there any of that? Can you
Well, I
manage
don't have
that?
any toes, mate. So that's
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's a
I'm trying
start off
I'm
with.
trying to work out how you walk up hills.
I've got ankle movement.
Okay.
So how do I walk up hills? Very slowly, and generally sideways.
Okay, so
So,
sort of
so
crab walk up a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. So like another thing that I learned from reading all these really cool books is you learn little tricks about going up hills and coming down hills, which
Mm.
always entertains me when I'm coming down Mystic Hill because you've got some athlete, we'll call them, for a lack of a better word, no shirt, pair of shorts, and he is just flat stick, like he's gone kamikaze. He is breaking the sound barrier.
Fucking sending
Um,
it.
yeah, that's it. And I'm like, that's going to end badly. Um,
You usually
so
pass them
what?
too, like 100 meters later, and they're just bloodied up.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. So what I do going down hills and going up hills, which is what I've worked out as well, is traversing. So you traverse up the
Mm.
mountain or down the mountain,
Yeah,
and you actually cover. Um, it's slightly more distance, but it's faster than going straight up.
yeah. You see,
So,
Matty Murphy and stuff does it. They come down like when they're
mm,
flying down, they sort of zigzag a bit.
yep.
Um, yeah. Andy Reid's here from OCR Adaptive Athletes over in the UK, saying hi guys. How are you, man? And Cara saying the famous Mystic Mountain goats. And I
Yes.
will get to your other question very shortly. But I did want to. I did see a video that you did the other day, Andy, which actually prompted me to reach out and see if you wanted to have a chat.
Oh,
You've
my
been on my
plate
list.
jumps.
Yeah, you've been on my list for a little while. But I've got the plate
Yep.
jump video here. If you don't mind me showing people,
No,
um,
go ahead.
just just to sort of show what you can achieve, which is fucking amazing. How long were you building up towards this plate jump?
Oh, look, I probably started doing plate jumps probably for the last year. And I started off with literally one plate. And then, yeah, the other day it was just like max plate jumps.
We've got
We
about
did have
nine
another
there or
plate,
something.
the 715
Seven.
kg plate.
Seven.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I did
And
go
I
to
just
go, yep.
I just want to stress to people how fucking hard this is when you don't have, you know, 25% of the bones in your body are in your feet, and you don't have those. And that's what
Yeah.
controls all your stability and all your balance and everything. And you see people when they just lose a toe, how much their balance is thrown off. So,
Mm.
but I'll play this video because it's very impressive. Can you see that, Andy?
No, my phone's still frozen. That's all right.
Yeah, just watching you sort of stabilize when you come up too. It's very
Hmm.
impressive, man. Are you more dominant on that left side, or is that just how you stuck the landing?
That's just how I went for a landing. I think I tend to lean a lot more in most things on my left-hand side because obviously that's my dominant side.
Okay.
Um, and also when I did track cycling, when you ride around the track, you always lean to the left. You always turn left.
Sure. So
Um,
you've got a bit of a dominance on that side then, probably.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Is that the
But
side
yeah,
that is that the side that the arm you've got your right arm, do you not? Or do you have your left arm?
I've got my left arm. I don't have my right arm.
You've got your left arm. So does that sort of balance that out a little bit if you've got like the dominant leg on that side? Or
Um,
does no?
yes, no. Um, the interesting thing with that box jump though is um, there's no there's no forward foot flexion if that makes sense.
Mm.
So that's straight from the heels.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so so if you wanted to do a box jump and stand on your heels with your toes, turn them up, I suppose, and then
Yeah.
do a box jump. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I do it. So fortunately for me, I've got big quads, and like I've got enough power there to launch myself up. But yeah, it's still pretty hairy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if you ever want to know sort of what that feels like, I'm just trying to think. Keep your legs like straight and try and skip just coming off your heels, and that probably
yep.
gives you a bit of an insight into what Andy's got. So there's no like spring in the feet. Like the fact that you can run at all is unbelievable, mate.
Yeah,
And
I've
I've
actually
been there. I've run with you.
yeah, I've actually started skipping as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
CrossFit. There's a guy who's on Instagram called Logan Aldridge, one-armed CrossFitter from the States. And there's a company out here that does them, RX Australia. So
Oh
they
yeah,
do like
I've
an
seen this guy. I've seen this guy. Sorry,
yeah,
RX
yeah,
Australia.
yeah. So RX Australia, and they do like what they call a mono-rope. So picture a really expensive broomstick as such, about as wide as your body, maybe a little bit wider, with your
Yep.
skipping rope. So you hold it in the middle, and yeah, just jump basically. So yeah, I'm up to now. I think I can do um, generally clean all the time 8 jumps in a go.
Did you did you
And
call it a mono
yeah,
rope?
sorry.
Did you call it a mono rope?
Yes.
Let's have a look
Yeah.
because I
So it's
haven't
an
heard of
RX.
that, but I sort of want to see what you're talking about. Mono rope. Where are we?
And they're not cheap.
No,
No.
I don't even know if I'm on the right website. Mono rope.
Yep.
I clicked on that link, but it didn't take me to like a mono rope. Sorry, mate.
No, you're all right.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a
Oh,
handle.
I get it. I get it. So it's almost like a hoop that you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. Oh
But
yeah.
I'll tell you what got me thinking that I can do skipping. It was Logan Aldridge from the
Yeah.
States in CrossFit.
Yeah.
He's on Instagram. If you want to look him up, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I just followed
Um,
him.
yeah, but
Aldridge Logan is his handle. If anyone's interested.
yeah. So this guy's got like it's above his elbow, and he does clean snatches,
Yeah.
deadlifts. Like he is apparently the fittest CrossFitter adaptive in the world.
Yeah, it
So
wouldn't surprise me.
uh,
I've seen him doing some pretty gnarly like one-handed snatches and like he's
yeah,
snatching more than I snatch with two arms.
yeah,
Um,
double unders,
yeah,
triple unders, quad
yeah,
unders.
he's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, 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 it's a machine. So But the thing that got me into skipping and thinking about doing skipping was you talked about funny things earlier in Spartan races at stadium. I did it with Errol. When does the wave times come out in Bright? And who else did I do it with? It might have been Shannon Moo, and
that crew.
Yeah, that crew, which was a funny crew.
They're good guys.
I mean, yeah, we didn't even realise that we were doing a Spartan event. Really, we were just there having a barrel of laughs and just crapping on, which is great because you get through it. But I remember we got to the skipping ropes and they had those big weighted skipping ropes, and I'm like, oh well, I'm out, I can't do it. And everyone was like, nah, bullshit. So we went old school. We went playground skipping. So I had one person on one end and one person on the other, and I skipped in the middle. Yeah.
Nice.
Good times. So, yeah.
Nice. They were bitch of a skipping rope, those too. Those heavy ropes.
They were.
But that's nice. Bit of teamwork, mate. Bit of teamwork. And we've got a couple more comments. Oh, Errol's here. Oh.
Hey.
Hey, buddy. He was creeping. Didn't even know he was watching. Same as Bull. Saying, sorry I missed this, Matt and Andrew. Listen tomorrow after my paddle. You did get mentioned a few times, big fella. But we'll
and Errol, just for Errol, wave times will be out in November for Bright, mate. Okay.
We'll get you sorted. Just turn up fucking early, Errol. Just rock up at 6 a.m. You can't get it wrong. You might have to wait for a while.
Funny.
M saying, Andy, you're amazing. M Ryan, Spartan racer from up here.
Mm-hmm.
Hit her first super at the GC, I believe.
Nice.
Kara's saying, what's your next challenge, Andy? Sounds like you've done a few things.
Yeah. So next thing coming up is in where are we? January. A couple of weeks. I'm actually going to sign up for the CrossFit Open 2021. So hopefully they're going to.
Sorry, is there an adaptive sort of class for that, or is you just doing it with everyone? Sorry. I
was getting that. No, there's hopefully going to be an adaptive one. Logan's actually been pushing for it. So they did release last year in November that there will be an adaptive section in it. So hopefully, yes, there will be. If not, I'll just do a scaled version because obviously I can't do a 60 kg snatch. I probably could, but I'd dislocate my shoulder in the process. So that's probably my next thing on my list. As a gym, we're going to go up and do Spartan in Bright in November. So we're going to do that. So it's going to be like one of those little Onemoorerep crazy rounds. So yeah, we'll just go around as a gym and just work together. Hopefully, if there's another static monster competition, I'd like to do that again. Using the
powerlifting.
Yeah, I like strongman competition. So that was, I think I lifted, it was 29 kg, big fat dumbbell, which is really awkward to pick up. And you're going to go straight over the top of the head with that one. And then the axle lift. So I lifted 140 kg with the axle deadlift. So I'd like to, So that's static monster, and like I did it in a gym, in a CrossFit gym in Albury. So they were running it. So
what's the gym, mate? Give them a shout out.
The gym was CrossFit Albury Wodonga with Kara. So
nice.
That was Static Monsters
nice
competition.
Oh, where do you usually train?
I train at CrossFit TMA here in Wodonga with Zach Rogers and Scott Foley as coaches.
TMA.
Yep.
I'll throw that in the comments. If anyone's down there, I know a couple of Spartan races down in Albury Wodonga. I've got a couple down there, couple of clients.
Yeah, you'd
down in that
know
area.
Chris. You'd know Chris, Lane Dog Chris, Kettlebell Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his
I know
name.
who you're talking about.
Yeah, he does the ultras.
Not Chris Forrest.
Chris Forrest, that's him. Yes.
There's a couple of Chris's. Phil Stone's down that way as well, or is he in Wagga? He might be in Wagga.
I think he might be in Wagga. Yeah.
He might be in Wagga. But I do have a couple in around Albury Wodonga.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good part of the world down there. Fucking hot and then fucking cold, and you get a couple of good weeks in the middle.
Oh, come on, mate. Anyone think that you live in Scotland?
Gold Coast, mate. It's because fucking Sydney was too cold for me.
Yeah, well, if you live in Scotland, mate, summer's normally on a Tuesday.
So CrossFit Open. It's going to be a bit of fun.
Yeah. We actually did we actually did one of last year's WODs today. So it was CrossFit 19.1. So that was as many rounds as you can possibly do in, I can't remember if it was 18 minutes, 20 minutes. So he had to do 19 wall balls and then 19 cows on the rower and just repeat for as many rounds.
I remember it.
Yeah.
Because I
think it's
fucking
20 minutes.
I thought I repressed that memory. I think that because I don't do a lot of CrossFit. And I specify in what I do. So whenever I go to CrossFit, there's a few things that just kick the shit out of me, and wall balls are one of them. And I don't do a lot of rowing either. So I think in 2019, I said to all my clients and stuff, I'm like, let's do the Open, let's do the CrossFit Open. Actually, I don't think it was my clients. I think it was just a few mates. And 19.1 came around. I did that first workout, and I'm like, fuck CrossFit. I'm not doing that. It's that was a disgusting workout. How'd you go with that?
Yeah, no, really good. What I do, 6 rounds plus 28. So I made it into my 7th round, but you don't count that in 20 minutes. So yeah, no, it was good.
Nice.
Hot, but good.
Yeah. Andy's got a question. Andy Reid over in the UK had a question. How would you encourage more adaptive athletes into the sport of OCR? Now we were talking right at the beginning about your involvement with the AFOS on the committee for the adaptive side of things in the sport in Australia. Do you actively sort of bring any adaptive people into it, Andy? Or
look, I've brought some people in on the para committee that we have. Mark Daniels. Everybody knows Mark Daniels.
I spoke to him
Hollywood. That's right. Who's rowing at the moment? I think he is. Over in Perth. I became good mates with him. And James, what's his name? Whitaker.
James Whitaker. Yep,
James Whitaker.
Runs, Australian Adaptive OCR for Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, they have done tremendous work for getting adaptive athletes into, OCR, Spartan, mainly. They help you out with the entry fees and all that sort of stuff. Because as you're aware, it can be very expensive, Spartan, or any OCR that you do. They helped out heaps with that. But with the federation, the Australian Federation of OCR, we're actually looking at getting involved with OCR races. So, potentially Spartan, Tough Mudder, etc. And I guess my ultimate goal is to see adaptive heats or para heats, where we can. So you have still your elites, your age, your opens, but then have a para category in the same competition, so to speak. So it's not on a different day; it's on the same day. So your waves could be elite, age, para, open, and that would be awesome for obstacle course racing.
I agree.
And because we race now, so like I generally race in open, because I don't see any point in like doing elite or age, because it would be no different for me. Like the end result would be no different.
You still do all your
And
burpees,
yeah,
and everything. So yeah, yeah,
that's
I feel
right.
you.
That's right. So and it really depends on, Lenny's another guy. Lenny is unbelievable. Some of you guys might have seen him in Bright. Was it last year? Might have been year before. Lenny
Not
got
sure
carried
I know
around.
Lenny.
Lenny got carried around
What's
in a
his last
wheelchair.
name? Ah, I do
Oh,
know. I do know.
yeah, yeah. So Lenny had 8 mates. Now these mates went well beyond, like, um, you see people on the sidelines going, like, if they've hurt themselves or whatever, and people go, "You all right, mate?" and keep going. These guys carried a wheelchair. Just think about that. Carried a wheelchair through Bright for the. I'm just trying to think whether it was the sprint or the super that he did, because I did both. And so they carried him up Mystic. They carried him through rivers. They literally picked him up and threw him over walls. It was amazing to see, amazing to watch. And like, once again, like, Lenny is a prime example of just going out there and doing it. I'm in a wheelchair, so what? What's going to stop me? Nothing. So
Was that the
you
same
know,
guy who went around the urban in Melbourne? Was that the same team of people who were carrying their mate
yeah,
through the wheelchair there? Same guy?
yeah.
That was
Let's say
fucking
that.
incredible to watch, man. I actually went live and videoed them while they came
Yeah,
through like the rope climb, and I was chatting to them, and yeah, it's pretty fucking amazing when you see guys
that's
lifting
it.
their mate over a 8 foot wall in a fucking
Yeah,
wheelchair. Like
yeah.
it's incredible,
Yep, yep. Like
incredible.
just picking him up and throwing him over, and like,
Yeah.
um, and I mean that's no different than uh, like, me with the walls. I suck at going over the walls. I have enough trouble getting over the wall to start the race, never mind do any of the other walls throughout the race. But the great thing about the Spartan community is you can always say to someone, "Hey, can you give me a knee? Can you give me a hand?" Um, and like, there will always be someone on course to help you get over that fence. Um,
Mm.
and once you're over that wall and you're hanging on for dear life because you don't want to fall down, there's always someone on the other side willing to drag you down.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I love about, like, the whole community in Spartan, in CrossFit. You know, everyone's out for everyone. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, CrossFit's a very similar vibe as well. It's just a different cult. That's all it is. We're the
yeah.
yeah, we're the muddy cult. They've got clean shoes. That's the difference.
Well, I don't know. Some of them get pretty sweaty. Um, yeah,
Um,
but to be honest, I've done more running since I've done CrossFit than I've done before in my life.
yeah,
Yeah, they're big on cardio, so that's
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's definitely going to transfer across well. Funzi's saying I was there and dragged you through the 19.1, the slow motion on the rower. Yes, I was not having a fun day. Andy's saying, are there many OCR adaptive women represented in Australia? I know, well, I know one of my clients, Alana was on before,
Yep,
who runs with an Australian Adaptive OCR jersey. I
yep.
can't think off the top of my head if there's many, but I guess, Andy, to answer the question, uh, and to give you a bit of context, like we've got a population of what, 24, 25 million in Australia, and OCR is a niche sport here, so there's not it's not a huge sport here. So it's like it's a niche sport with a low population. Um, so I think I think this obstacle racing is an amazing thing for adaptive athletes to get into, and it's obviously got a lot of legs over in the States. But I just don't think it's really taken off here yet. I think it will, given time.
Yeah, and like even in just to go along with that, even in the static monster competition, there was only I think 3 adaptive guys from Australia, and the rest were like from the States or Britain or So I think with adaptive sport in general, we are behind the 8 ball.
Is it that we just don't get our adaptive guys into sport, or is there less of them, or is there what do you think the reason for that is?
I think potentially, and it's only been recently that adaptive athletes, para athletes have been given media time. So, you go back, for example, when I first represented Australia in 1987, the government gave us $10 towards funding to get overseas for that competition, which was pretty much my departure tax. Yeah. So they paid our departure tax. Everything else for that was paid by like donations from people. Mum did a Lamington run, as you do in Australia. And it was just a generosity of the community that got me overseas. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to go because, we weren't, we were just your typical Australian family. We weren't flush. We weren't and I think now the adaptive athletes are starting to get a little bit more media time, credibility. There's the guys. Adam Hills has done wonders for adaptive people and adaptive sport. The comedian who is huge.
He's missing a foot as well, isn't he?
He's missing a leg. Yeah.
A leg. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was involved in the sporting side of things. He's a funny guy.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So more so in the commentating, I think it was Channel 4 in the UK took him for the Paralympics and all that just recently. But that's what I'm talking about. We're starting to get more media awareness, I suppose, or coverage. Because it's always been, oh wow, Andy's got one arm, or Mark Daniels has got one leg. Wow, look at him, isn't he amazing? And I think for us, and Andy in the UK will probably agree with me here, we don't see ourselves as amazing. We just see ourselves as people getting shit done. So it's no different than the person standing next to us who's never done a Spartan race before and is like, what do you mean I have to climb this fence to get to the start line? I think the biggest thing that anyone can do, whether you're adaptive or not adaptive, is just sign up and do it. Don't think about it, and that's anything in life.
I think it's you might be underestimating the impact that guys like you have, though. When you look at things like how culture's driven with sport, so we're a pretty big sporting nation, and we grow up watching it, so we do it and we compete in it. But you look at countries where, when Cadel Evans became big in cycling, there was a surplus in people getting into cycling, and you look at you hear, and I've read in a couple of books about talking about the Ethiopian runners and how people think there's a genetic advantage there, but there's not. What there is there's a culture of running, and people grow up knowing these amazing runners that are treated like gods, and they want to be these people, so they fucking run. And that so there's always this sort of lagging measure. So as the sport, I guess, gets more airtime and becomes, kids who are adaptive are going to grow up watching that and going, fuck, I can do that too. And 10 years later, they're doing it, Yeah. So it's.
I mean, Jamaica's got a bobsled team. Go figure.
They do. Want to touch my lucky egg?
That's it. But it's just awareness that will, and that's where I think James has worked really well with the obstacle course races in getting us out there to, I remember, where was I? Averon, and we're just coming out of the that dam and underneath the barbed wire crawl that went for, I don't know, 6 or 7 Ks, it felt like.
The gift that kept on giving.
Hey?
The gift that kept on giving.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I'm halfway up in this barbed wire crawl, and this guy looks over to me, and you'll generally notice me on course because I'm a bit of a freak. I like to wear like a tack vest when I do these exercises and these events, and that's for a number of reasons. A, it's challenging. I've got my hydration on the back, so it's nice and easy, but everything's like in close proximity, so I don't have to worry about a backpack or anything like that. And I remember crawling up underneath this barbed wire, and this guy turned around to me. He goes, "Oh, are you defence?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Man, you're amazing." And I'm like, "I'm just trying to get my way out from this barbed wire fence because this mud is really shit." Yeah. Because it was wet and it was horrible, and and it doesn't matter. Like I know a lot of people will turn around and go, "Oh, but I don't have like the latest Innovate shoes," or "Look at that guy, he's wearing shorts and no shirt," and yada yada yada. I wear tactical pants and a tactical shirt when I do it. Why? Because I like my kneecaps and I like my elbows. So it doesn't matter what you wear. And generally, I've already done a hurricane heat before it, so I'm not going to like dirty and muddy more clothes when it's not required. So I don't think it doesn't matter what you wear or how you do it or what your disability is, or your disability may be that you've got 2 arms and you think, well, I can't do that. It's all in perspective on how you think. People go, "Oh, he's got one arm."
Powerful, man.
Like 1 arm, 1 leg, but it comes back to the mind. I've seen people at multi-rig with 2 arms go, "I know I can't do it," and they are lean and they look strong, but then you've got like a mum of 4 kids that gets in there and gets it done. She may drop down halfway through, but she'll always go back to the start and get it done. So that's what it is. It comes down to your mind power again over,
Yeah.
The thing that we used to say years ago, people used to say disability. Disability was like the go-to word, So there became a slogan that came out probably 10 years ago. That was like, "Don't diss my ability." So, I'm still as able as you are. I may not be as orthodox in getting over a wall or doing whatever as like someone with all their body parts, but I've seen some people get over walls in some very unorthodox styles anyway. So I think it's just getting the job done. And as I've said before, it is all about resilience and mind power. It will always be.
Yeah, and you got plenty of that, mate. You got plenty of that. Alana's saying, other than me, I'm not too sure how many female adaptive OCR athletes are here. Also saying OCR is a tough sport to get into if you are para-adaptive, as there's no para waves and the course design is not too para-friendly to date. So hopefully we can get a little bit of change. That might take a little bit of while to go through, but hopefully we can sort of start to work on some para waves soon.
And that's what the para committee is working on with AFOS. Whether or not that is like and I've seen them overseas where you have an obstacle course sprint, which is no different than like a CrossFit Games kind of challenge, where you've got a football field and it's as fast as you can do these obstacles, or whether it's on a athletics track, so you've got you guys in your wheelchairs that can do it. So that's things that we're looking at in the para committee to get it. It's not necessarily how we're going to get this wheelchair up Mystic Mountain, because for majority of para athletes or people who want to get into the sport, that is just a too big a challenge to start off with.
Yeah.
So I think if we start light,
Those people in, eh?
yeah, that's right. Like, I mean, like even simple things like what we did in Hurricane Heat, might have been last year, Matt, when Richard made us run around the oval with a mouthful of water, and then you get round to the goalposts, and you'd say run around again. So it taught you how to
It's
breathe.
disgusting.
Yeah. So breathe through your nose, not through your mouth. And then after 2 laps, we had to spit the water out at his feet, and it was like, but
Yep.
yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical challenge. Like that was more of a mental challenge. There were so many people there that night. Oh, I can't do that. I
Yep.
can't do that.
I do that regularly at boot camps. I fuck with people like that all the time. I love hitting them on a mental, get them real uncomfortable mentally, and you see them like, and they're like, fuck, I can't do this, and it's like watching somebody like the kids that think they're drowning when they're in like a foot of water and they're like screaming,
Yeah.
and it's like, just stand up.
Yep.
Like it's almost like you can see that happening with people. You're like, just fucking
Yeah.
relax, like settle. It's all in your head.
That's it.
That's cool. It's cool. We do have a couple more comments.
Yep.
Mikey's just said, have you gone to wheelchair sports to assist in getting athletes into the sport? Don't know, but maybe that's something the committee can do. Approach wheelchair sports.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, we've got a gentleman on the committee, Daryl Sparks. He's actually with Disabilities New South Wales, so he's all over with the wheelchair guys, etc. in New South Wales. So, yeah.
Cool. Andy's saying UK Channel 4 has done more than any other. Whoops. Excuse me. Yes, we have body power, full respect, great ball of fire, hell yes, and saying you're never a freak, bud, power to you. M. Ryan's saying perspective, exactly. It's the power of the mind that is amazing. My sister's had 4 amputations between age 20 and 45. She was constantly adapting to every change post-op. She also lost a hearing from nerve damage in her ears. She still swam like an athlete for years. So it's amazing what people can overcome.
Yeah, I know a guy in England who actually had no arms and no legs, and he was a swimmer.
Oh, wow. This isn't going to turn into a dad joke, is it?
No, not at all. This is like deadly serious. He used to stop the clock. They used to have those big yellow pads that you slap your hand into. He'd actually drive his head into it on an angle, of course, so he didn't like break his neck. But yeah, It was just all basically core strength. Yep.
Yeah, wow. Fucking hell. It's amazing.
So what's your excuse?
What? I don't have one, man. I just like donuts. That's it. And encourage. I actually went and did my first ocean swim. I decided I'm going to do a Ironman.
Yep.
But the rule is I'm not allowed to do a swimming race or a bike race before the full Ironman. I've just got to go fucking straight into the full one. So I did like my first. It's in June, I think, in Cairns. So I did my first like 700-meter ocean swim the other day, and the Ironman's not going to be pretty. I can tell you that.
No. But, you need to be hanging out with Bull. He'll teach you how to swim in the ocean.
I've been swimming with Bull in the ocean down at Shelley Beach there. Did a little trail run and then a little K swim with the Bold and the Beautiful, which is like it's like park run but swimming every day down at Shelley Beach near Manly. There's like 300 or 400 people that just jump in the water and fucking swim a couple of Ks and come back, and they do it 365 days of the year. It's crazy. Andy saying encourage more adaptive sport trainers into colleges to enable it relate to adaptive clients. So Andy, one of the guy that I spoke to a while back, and I don't know whether you spotted that chap, Mark Daniels. He's actually just gotten qualified as a PT, and he's going to specialise in adaptive athletes and just adaptive people in general, showing people what they can do instead of what they can't do. And he's obviously He's competed in the Invictus Games a few times. I think he's a gold medalist in Invictus, and he's has run like 24-hour enduros and stuff. And he's got one leg, and he's an incredible guy. But he's doing exactly that. Mikey worked for New South Wales Wheelchair Sports for 23 years. Mikey, send Andy a friend request and flick him a message after, and I might be able to get a contact that might be able to speed this along for the committee. Andy saying love this, and Dan from AFOS saying the future of para OCR is bright with Andy and his committee. Sure is. What would you like to see happen, man? What's have you got a vision for what you'd like to see with the committee and the work you're doing there?
I'd just like to see us, or to get para athletes the not the credit that they deserve, but like the same standing as able-bodied athletes in OCR. Um, they adaptive athletes train just as hard as able-bodied athletes. You will generally find that majority of adaptive athletes, and this is no bad stuff against able-bodied athletes, but you'll find that their mental resilience is far stronger because of what they've had to go through to get what they've done. And so just to see a level playing field for para athletes in the ACR world, or that being like the CrossFit world or any sporting world, to have for example, everyone in CrossFit knows who Matt Fraser is. He's the strongest man in the world. Everybody knows who Tia Claire Toomey is. She's the Australian strongest woman in the world, in the CrossFit world. But if you turned around and said, "Oh, Logan Aldridge, do you know who he is?" And if you weren't involved, you'd be like, "Nah, who is he?" So to get
I didn't know.
people, yeah.
I didn't know his name. I'd seen him, but I didn't know his name. So you're right.
Yeah, just to get adaptive athletes on that same level. Like a mate I went to school with, who ended up in wheelchair tennis, a gentleman by the name of David Hall, really was like the start of the pinnacle for disabled tennis. He's won major tournaments. So what he's done for tennis was brilliant. And then you see it in, especially like the American and the British paracycling community. They are really big on promoting their athletes. Australia is getting there. The last couple of years, for years when I was racing and got my national titles, our championships were never held with the able-bodied, whereas they are now. And they also get like jerseys, the same jersey as the Australian able-bodied national champion gets, which I think is a good stepping stone towards normality and knowing difference between adaptive and able-bodied, because really there is no difference. We train as hard, we work as hard, we do what we can. You guys adapt, we adapt. So there should be no division, I think.
I think it's like comparing, say, a heavyweight boxer to a featherweight boxer and saying they're not equal. But you can have a fucking amazingly great featherweight boxer and amazingly great heavyweight boxer. They're probably not going to fight each other, but they're both fucking incredible, and they both should be celebrated. And I think that's sort of what you're going for, which is good.
Yeah. It's like comparing Anamiz to Cadell Evans. Like Anamiz will never go out and ride 240 kilometers, and Cadell probably wouldn't be as fast around the track as Anamiz. So it's horses for courses and it's disciplines. But just to have that level playing field would be awesome.
Definitely. And bit of love coming in. Andy saying yes. Recognition and playing field. Spot on with the worldwide recognition. Sharon's dropped in. And Andy Reid saying Australia more ahead compared with the UK. Which, I have no idea what the landscape's like over there. Hopefully hopefully things are okay over there. To be honest, I heard you guys just went into full national lockdown for another 6 weeks, which is not good for anyone. But yeah, that's sad that we're more ahead, because I think we're very behind. Especially when I look at like the Spartans, say, in the US. The para waves are televised sport. I watch it. I watch it all the time when it's on. I think those
Yeah.
guys are fucking incredible. I
There was
watch probably
a
more of the para than I do the normal people. Well, sorry, not normal, but the guys who aren't para.
yeah, there was a series in it's on YouTube, and Mike Rowe, American comedian chippy, runs it. It's called Returning the Favor,
Yeah,
and he did it for this guy who got veterans, wounded veterans, adaptive veterans, into OCR, and it was amazing to watch. And it was like Spartan, and like yeah, because I know Spartan in the States, I believe, has adaptive waves.
yeah,
Um,
they do.
so yeah, it's just I think it's just trying to work out the programming as well.
Yeah,
Um, having been on build teams and pull down teams and marshalling and volunteering, like people rock up for a race, they do their race 3 hours, they disappear, and they're not aware that it takes a good 5 6 days to set it up, a good
yeah,
5 6 days to pull it down. So
yeah,
logistically, it makes more sense to have like all your adaptive in with your able-bodied athletes because
yeah,
just the logistics of
yeah.
setup, pull down, and moving across the country, is enormous.
Yeah, and
And
I
like,
think the landscape's a little bit different too. You know, they've got a big military over there, and they're really big on getting their vets and their wounded vets into endurance sports and stuff like that. They've
yeah,
got heaps of programs that push people into it.
yeah,
Um, and also Spartan's obviously got some pretty big military ties over there.
yeah,
Um, and they're just a very, militaristic, patriotic nation, and the
mhm,
two sort of feed each other. But I imagine when Spartan first started and they had, 1,000 people, 2,000 people turning up to events, they weren't doing Parawave then. They were doing,
yeah,
they were doing it years later when they grew, and the sport's now grown, and it's probably 10 times the size as far as numbers. Like I think they've got 12 stadium events a year,
right, yep,
which you can
yeah,
just compete in stadium all year.
yeah,
Whereas here we get one stadium. We had 9 events in total.
yeah,
Three trifectas. So I think, we've got to sort of respect those limitations that the money just isn't here, for something like that. But I really like the idea of having, um, like a footy field, like you said, and having it all set up and coming in. I'd really like to see what you guys at AFOS come up with for that side of things, because they do a
yeah,
bit of that stuff too, like ninja type shorter events, don't they?
yeah. Like there could be no reason why, for example, um, if we're doing a stadium, that there's not a specific
I
para
agree.
section,
I agree. Yeah.
you know. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I definitely look. I think you could put a Parawave on now. I know that Mark Shepherd was looking to do something in Queensland. I think he got injured and had to can that. But I don't see why you couldn't do a Parawave, at say a sprint. Um,
yep,
you might just have to modify a couple of the obstacles,
mhm,
or make
yep,
sure that like people go through with, I guess, somebody there to assist them. Um,
yep,
or at least make sure there's somebody there to help if they need it. Um,
yep,
I'd definitely be happy to. I've got a heap of clients that I know would be happy to run along with adaptive athletes and give them a shoulder over walls and stuff like that. Um,
mhm.
if we can put something like that together. Have you spoken to Spartan Direct about it?
I believe Dan is in conversations with Chris.
Yeah, cool, cool. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah,
it'd be
like even
exciting
if
if
you're
we could go
thinking,
that way. Sorry.
yeah, like even instead of burpees for dudes in wheelchairs, just a overhead medicine ball press.
Yeah,
30 of those, thanks.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
we'll,
just gotta you
yeah,
just gotta think how you adapt, right? Like,
that's right.
you just got to have somebody who understands it and understands the limitations and what can people do and what is not achievable, and have them as the
Mhm.
person who is making the decisions of this is what we're going to do. If they can't do burpees, they're doing this,
Yeah.
which is you, I guess. um, and a bit of love from Alana saying I haven't broken it yet. being her adaptive trainer. Thank you, Alana. I'll try my
Still
best not
time.
to.
There's still time.
There's still time. We made it through 2020. I don't think she's going to break. Um, Mikey's saying it was only in the 80s that para-athletes had their own home for sports. That's where I worked. It was the only venue in the Southern Hemisphere built for para-quad athletes at the time. Did you ever go there, Andy?
Where was that at?
I would say Western Sydney, at a guess.
We used to, back in the mid-'80s, we used to use the Narrabeen Sport Complex a lot.
I don't think that would have been it, but Mikey will tell us shortly.
Yeah, so we used to train at Narrabeen. If we didn't train there, it was at the Institute of Sport down in Canberra, back when there was nothing around Bruce Stadium. So, yeah.
Nice. Mikey's saying at Mount Druitt, the facility was. Mountie County.
Geez, you'd be lucky to come out there alive, wouldn't you, Mount Druitt, back in the 80s?
You'd need that tack vest.
Yeah, that's it, absolutely.
Andy's saying UK is locked down. Not many adaptive para-athletes. Athletes like Sean Gash and Jamie Gain are best known UK adaptive athletes. Helen Chapman, top UK female athlete. I'm working hard to achieve more connection with para-adaptive people within the sport of OCR. Definitely connect up with Andy if you haven't already. Andy, connect up with Andy. You can find him. Oh, you guys are connected? Sweet.
Yep.
I don't know if we're connected, Andy. Your name looks very familiar, but I can't see your profile picture. If not, flick me a friend request. But Alana's saying mowing the grass enough to get crutches through would be a great start on course for me. We've got to mow the lawns, Andy. First order of business. Make sure the lawns are mowed. And
you mow them, and I'll supervise.
Done.
In your budgie smugglers.
Mikey's, I'll fucking mow in budgie smugglers. I have no shame. It doesn't exist. Mikey said Kevin Betts. He was the father of wheelchair sports.
Okay.
Mate, what was that book?
Sorry, I was going to say, I think there's a guy over in England. Is it Jason Cundy? He was a adaptive cyclist, I think, track cyclist. And then you've got those guys who also are on Adam Hill's show. There's a couple of guys who are missing limbs, etc. Funny guys, apparently, and I can't remember their name. But anyway, yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying.
The book you said before, I wrote it down. Did you say Fear Bubble by Ant Middleton?
Yes.
I just thought I'd throw that in the comments in case anyone wanted to check that out when you said that was your most inspirational book. Yep. Which is big coming from a pretty fucking inspirational guy.
Yeah, he's got lots of other books as well. Like Zero Negativity is another book that I haven't read yet. But yeah, and any of those guys. So Jason Fox, I think is his name, off the SAS show as well. And Ollie, they've all got books. So you'll tend to find like they're all similar but different. But I'd also look into like if you wanted something closer to home, Mark Donaldson, VC.
Is that what the book's called?
Yeah, it's just called Mark Donaldson VC. And there was another one, I can't remember what it was called now. What's his name? Cameron Baird. It's about Cameron Baird VC. So there's plenty of like Australian diggers out there who have written books.
Yeah, cool. So I'll check those out. Mate, we've been talking for a good while now. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on? I know you said you like to get to bed pretty early, so I didn't want to hold you up too late, which I think I already did. But was there anything else that you wanted to sort of touch on before we wrap things up?
Just like I sincerely want to thank everyone out there for spreading the love, spreading the community spirit, spreading the OCR spirit, putting shit on me, which is okay because I'll put shit back on you. Yeah, but just the general from my own personal experiences, the mateships that we've got through Spartan and obstacle course racing is phenomenal. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you're an inspiration to many people out there. Like even what Matt said before, I don't really like getting called awesome or legends or anything like that. I don't look at myself as awesome or a legend. I just like to get shit done, which is like everybody else. But I think everybody who climbs over that fence to do a Spartan race or an OCR race is a legend because you are facing those fears head on. And kudos to everyone that gets out there and do it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks. And that's coming from a much-loved pillar of the OCR community, mate. You're very recognisable, and most people out on course know who you are. And mate,
most people hate me when I make them do burpees.
Yeah.
No one looks up to me when I make them do burpees.
Look, I've made a business of making people hate me, but afterwards they're like, now I get it. Now I get why you made me do that shit. So
that's right.
It's you're looking out for them, really.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And like Corey, you just need to learn how to count to 30, mate. That's all you need to do.
Sort you're counting out, mate. And Andy won't fucking terrorise you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because ultimately, and it's interesting, people think that we are there to count burpees for them. We're not. Our job as an official or a volunteer or a marshal is to record your headband. That's why we want it onto the video camera. So Mel or Michelle or Bull or whoever's the race official can and will penalise you for doing incorrect burpees, not enough burpees, etc. So once again, it comes down to being honest to yourself. I could not. Yeah, that's right. I could not do a Spartan event. I'll just say a Spartan event or any event, and go in there and go, okay, well, I did 22 burpees here and 20 burpees here, and then still stand at the finish line and get my medal. Because to me, I haven't done it. You're not worthy of it. Bull's always said people go into some of these races expecting the medal at the end is actually earned. And that's what they say in hurricanes. Just because you rock up and show up doesn't mean that you're going to get a Velcro patch in your dog tags. You got to earn it. So, just go out there and have fun. That's all I'm going to say. Like, obstacle course racing is hilarious. Some of the conversations that you have, with the boys in Oberon that we came in, we decided halfway through that, as we said, what happened on this deployment stays on this deployment. So nobody really knows what happened. But, the camaraderie and the jokes and just taking the piss out of each other got us, all three of us, through the event at the end. And that's what you need. It's surround yourself. And I suppose another thing that I've learned this year, which is really important, is surround yourself with people who lift you up. Don't hang out with people that bring you down, because all they're going to do is drag you down and drag the weight of the world on. So, hang out with people who inspire you, who lift you up, who give you praise. It actually takes less muscles in your mouth to smile than it does to frown.
Yeah.
Not that we'd know at the moment because we're wearing masks, but when we're not wearing masks, it takes. Yeah. So
wise words, mate.
Happy. Yeah.
Wise words. And Dan saying OCR is a fantastic community. It really is. So hopefully, guys, if you've maybe thought about doing a hurricane and maybe a little bit too intimidated, Andy, what would you say to somebody who thinks they can't do something?
You'll never know unless you go.
Never know unless you go. Just fucking give it a crack. If you don't succeed, come back, train, give it a fucking another crack.
That's it. And there's I mean, you could use 50 different analogies. You could turn around and say, it pays to be on the winning team. Second place is still second loser. But if you want a inspirational 20-minute video to watch, and I made my kids watch this, when they were 14 and 16. It's by Rear Admiral William McRaven, and it's
Make Your Bed.
Yep, it's Make Your Bed.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible, that video.
Yeah, so
I'm
it's like the 10 lessons in life.
I'm actually going to post a link to it in the description because it's a fucking good video.
Yep, because you'll generally find those with the smallest flippers have the biggest hearts.
Yeah, that is an incredible. I'm not actually even going to post the link to the whole 20-minute video. I'm just going to post like the 6-minute Goalcast video. Because that's pretty fucking incredible. Give that a link a watch, guys. It's a good video.
Yeah. If I'm feeling down in the world, it does happen. I just watch that, and it just realigns me and makes me realise that, doesn't matter how shit a situation you're in, there's always someone worse off. Yeah, that's right. Like, people say to me, 2020 was shit. 2020 for me was my best year, I'd say, in a long time. Sure, I didn't get to race, I didn't get to compete, but I grew within myself, and I learned more about myself, and I learned about what I need to function as a human being. And you know what? Medals from Spartan or OCR races isn't it. It's community spirit, it's love, it's friendship, it's communicating with people. It's about just getting back to the basics. I remember when our gyms closed, we would go on a thing called, with the guys from CrossFit, we would go on accidental hikes together. So you turn around and say,
we all came to the same place.
Yeah, we're all here. Oh, fancy that. What are you doing? Oh, you go, oh, so am I. Wow, that's amazing. And just doing stuff that you normally wouldn't do. Like, I wouldn't call myself a hiker, but one of the girls from CrossFit, Di Ross, she loves hiking. She's actually got Parkinson's, and does CrossFit really well. She's quite an inspirational lady as well. But so she hikes, like, she's done Mount Bogon and like Kosciuszko and all these crazy overnight snow hikes, and she's not fast, but she gets the job done, and just trying different things. And that was great about COVID. So I actually, it sucked. I haven't seen my kids in a year. That sucks, but in a sense, it's made our relationship stronger because we talk more on the phone. So it's a win-win situation, and life is like that. Is your glass half full or half empty? It's up to you to decide on which way you look at life. And the positives will always outdo the negatives, I reckon.
Yeah. You're right, mate. Definitely right. And mate, we'll leave it there with the beautiful words. Thank you for your time, Andy. It has been amazing having a chat with you. We had a heap of people drop in and give some love, and it's been amazing just to hear your perspective and your insights and what it is that drives you to get out on course, mate.
Yep, no worries. And you know what? Like, I even thought this year, I wasn't going to actually compete in any of the Spartan events this year. My plan last year was to do like my trifecta, which I did. So that's mission complete. Potentially do a hurricane here, there, every now and then. But it was really, I was willing to go to places just to volunteer and give back to the community that's given me so much. So keep that in your heads as well. You can volunteer for, 3 hours, 4 hours. Generally, you only marshal on your age and your elite competitions. And then it's just been like a official volunteer on the Opens, where you get to have a bit of fun with people and pick on them if they're wearing a Onemoorerep shirt or that sort of stuff. So really think about giving back to the community that's given you so much. Because, yeah, without the volunteers and the people behind the scenes for Spartan, you wouldn't be racing. So it's that easy, you know. And if you volunteer, I don't know if it's still the case, but you can build hours or points up to get free races. So it's a win-win situation. And like, yeah, really, what else are you going to do if you're up in Bright for 4 days and you're only doing one event? Instead of getting on the piss, go volunteer for 4 hours, then get on the piss. It's like, you know, you're giving back. Yeah, like yeah. So that's all I can really say. Like, you know, volunteering for me now is up there with racing. Like, you know, I'll do, yeah, like I said, I'll do the sprints with the CrossFit guys. Might do a hurricane just for shit and giggles because they're always entertaining, good fun. But yeah, other than that, I'll probably just be volunteering. So no doubt I will see you on course, and I will keep everybody accountable.
Righto. Thanks, mate. We'll leave it there. I'll finish this live. Thank you for turning up and hanging around for the evening with us, guys. I will end the live. This will be up on the OMR YouTube in a day or two, where you can catch all the old episodes of Chat with Matt and Harder to Kill and all the other stuff that we do. I do have the 28-day reset starting Monday. Message me if you want any info about that. And Andy, you stick around. I'll end the live. And thanks, guys. See you later.